Hi everyone, I am Corinne from Still Point Spaces. I work as a site coordinator and business development manager at Still Point Spaces Berlin. And every month we will address a topic at the intersection of psychology and work. And we offer actually more online events and content that explore psychology in an interdisciplinary way. So if you're not familiar with Stillpoint, you can check our website, stillpoint.org, and find more information about the community. And today I will discuss with Zoia, who is a business psychologist, also work as a consultant and a coach, and also at the intersection of psychology and work. And she deals with topics such as self-reflection, relationship building, interpersonal communication, and she's also the founder of House of Rebel, where she helped younger adults or young people to actualize their potential, also develop their personality. And today we'll talk about fueling the future of the lockdown generation. And my first question to you will be, we talked about the lockdown generation, that is to say, the millennial and Gen Z that are being affected by the current pandemic, mostly in terms of education, but also losing jobs. And it's also being talked as a lost generation. So do you think that there is such a thing as a lockdown generation or lost generation?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not so negative about it, I think. I wouldn't say it's a lost generation because I think there's still hope. I think humanity and even especially young people, they can even go through this very hard time and still be able to build a future life that is bright. So I wouldn't say it's a lost generation because I also see the chance to actually take this time and dive deep into your soul, into your psyche, and into whatever there is inside of you that you haven't been looking down to, and now you can search for it, and you can just build a better relationship to yourself. So I would not say it's a lost generation. I would say it's a generation that is challenged by this pandemic, definitely. And I think we all are, not only the young generation, we are all challenged by it. But for the younger generation, I think it will bring a lot of changes for them. And maybe at this time maybe at this time, we don't even know what kind of changes will come, but I'm sure there will be changes. So they will have a lot of challenges waiting for them on the job market, but also I think in a personal way.
So this is the question I was about to ask. What do you think that are the specific challenges? So you already mentioned the professional ones. And I know that for myself, I remember studying and being right at the financial crisis that happened in between 27 and 28, and now having another one. So what do you think, or which kind of skills or knowledge would this generation need to maybe prepare or start creating this new job market?
Well, first of all, I think young people, young adults, we've all been there. They're searching for themselves somehow. So in the ages between like 20 or even 18 until 25, we are basically searching for ourselves. We are like it's our biggest task in life to get to know ourselves, our wishes, our hopes, what we want to do with our lives, and what to study, what to do, which people to be with. So even without the pandemic, it's a very challenging time for young people. But now with the pandemic, I think the skill that young people need is the skill to self-reflect themselves and be very honest with themselves, and to actually start getting to know themselves in a very deep way. Because if you don't have the stability within yourself in these times, it's going to be very, very hard to sustain these challenges and to face them also, because we need to know who we are to be stable in a way, and to conquer all the things that are going on in this world. And there is a lot of uncertainty, there is unpredictability. We are living in a VUCA world, so there is a lot of complexity and uncertainty. So we need to have the inner stability to be able to stay healthy, mentally healthy, and also psychologically strong. So it's self-reflection. If you would ask me one skill, I think it's the skill to be able to self-reflect yourself, and to be with yourself, and be able to develop yourself, and to look inside yourself and find the truth that is true for you.
And how can they develop the skills? I'm thinking of I don't know about even me, but like also my younger, let's say, siblings. When you constantly on social media, I mean, we kind of also the generation of social media and bombarded by distraction.
That's the right word. If I may interrupt, I think it's the generation of disrupting, because they distract themselves a lot. I mean, there are a lot of distractions, and it's so easy to follow those distractions and not really self-reflect, not to take the time to self-reflect yourself. So what I would suggest, or what I advise my clients is, go and find yourself, go and try and gain as much experience as there is. I mean, of course, it's difficult now in these times to gain experience, because normally you would maybe go traveling, or you would just go hang around with a lot of different people, or move into a new city and meet new people, and all these things that make you get out of your comfort zone. But it's not always possible in this pandemic at the moment. So but how to build self-reflection, how to do it, I would say, make new experiences, get out of your comfort zone, get in touch with yourself by using methods like journaling, or even therapy, talking to someone on a regular basis, or mindfulness. I know it's not easy to practice mindfulness, but it's something to maybe start with even in a young age, just to make sure that you gain self-knowledge. I mean, self-reflection's the goal of self-reflection is self-knowledge. So its ultimate goal is to get to know yourself in the best possible way, so that you know who you are, who your values are, what your values are, and who you want to be in this world, as who you want to show up in this world. So these are the things that you need to do for yourself, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's something that you have to do for yourself, so that you have the stability and you have the confidence also in yourself to show up in this world and be someone that you actually are.
I love that answer. I wanted to ask you about your work. I mean, House of Rebel, and what sparked you to, maybe you can talk a little bit more about what you do there and what sparked you to create it.
Well, I mean, if I want to talk about why I created, I have to start with myself, because I've always been this rebellious kind of kid person. I was not easy to handle for my parents, especially. I was very different than anyone else in school, and I was always interested, and I was very curious. And I mean, I made a lot of experiences. Not all of them were good, but I mean, they're priceless because they made me the person that I am today. So, and the moment that I realized I need to build, or I need to found something like House of Rebel, was very much in line with my kind of being, I would say. I highly value self-knowledge. So that's definitely a value in my life, for my personal life. I did everything in my own life to get to know myself better. So that was always my goal in life. And I thought, wow, when I was 16, when I was 17, 18, 19, even 20, I was so lost, and I would have liked to have someone like me now. I mean, not that I want to say I'm the best coach or trainer, no, but I would have needed someone who could maybe understand my struggles, who could maybe give me some guidance, who could teach me about certain things that school wouldn't teach me. I mean, in school, I didn't learn about relationships. I didn't learn about how to be confident. I didn't learn how to self-reflect myself. I didn't learn anything that was useful for me. So I think I created, I created House of Rebel because that's something that was so important to me all my life. And I think I want to take this and offer this to young people, because I really think that they need it. I mean, I would love to even go to schools and teach, kids in those topics, because that's something that is so valuable. It's so important, but unfortunately, our education system doesn't really, acknowledge this at this moment. But maybe it will change. I'm one of the persons in this world who wants to change this, and I'm doing it with my work somehow. But I think I think it's the most important thing in our young age to ask those questions to ourselves, or even to have someone who asks those questions to us, because sometimes we don't even know what kind of questions we need to ask ourselves. And so I wanted just to add this, I wanted to be something like a mentor, not only coach, but a mentor that is there for the young people, and to be someone who can understand them, who can relate to their maybe topics and their pain, or their being lost, or whatever it is.
And what do you think the role of the parents are?
Well, I mean, they have a big role, obviously. They are the parents, but sometimes with kids, especially with rebellious kids, parents don't really have, they don't have access to their kids, or the kids don't really have access to their parents. So sometimes our closest people, our parents, our siblings, our best friends, even sometimes they can't really help us. They can't really understand us, and they can't really give us the help that we need. So I think, especially also in coaching, it's the same in psychotherapy. Sometimes we need someone outside of the system to be able to help us. So, and parents are very much in the system. So it's not always, I don't say that parents shouldn't do anything. They should, of course, be there for their kids and give them whatever they have. But I think sometimes kids just also, or youngsters, or young people, they need someone that is really not their family.
And talking about being rebellious, do you think that it's a trait of character that is actually needed right now? Because everything you mentioned about doing self-reflection and not being distracted is kind of trying to go against the grain, or against what everybody's doing. So is this a trait that actually you think you need? Do you think everybody can do it?
Well, that's a very good question. I was this rebellious person because I had good reason for that. I had a very quiet, I had a crazy biography, I think. And so when I grew older, I just couldn't adjust to the normal, young life that all other kids had. So I was just different because I was also asking myself those questions, and I couldn't really adjust to all these things that other people would do. I mean, finishing school and then going to the university and doing just something. I couldn't do that because I was always guided by my own questions. Okay, is that really what I want to do? No, I don't want that. And so I asked a lot of questions, and of course that brought me into many trouble situations because I was not that person who would just agree with something and then just follow the herd. So I think I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure if it's a trait or if I want to call it a trait, but it's something that you basically need to be able to ask those questions and to stand up for yourself and to just stay true to yourself. Because I mean, when I was young and I couldn't study what I wanted to study back then, I was devastated, and everyone just told me, okay, do this, do that, you should do this. And I couldn't do that. I was still following my own voice, and I would say, no, I can't do whatever people are telling me, because it's just not working out for myself. So I think that's also something that it's courage, maybe. I would call it that, like that, because rebellious, I mean, you can be rebellious, but not really courageous, but you have to be courageous to be even, I mean, you have to be this person who can stand up for him or herself to find your own way and not follow the other ones. So I think being a rebel means asking questions and not really giving in into what other people say or guide you to, but always stay focused on your own way of being and staying true to yourself and having confidence also in your own abilities, not being self-confident in every moment of your life, but having the confidence that you have a voice inside yourself that knows what is best for you.
Which tool, because you said growing up you didn't had a mentor or you didn't had a coach, so how did you manage to I will say keep on believing, let's say, in this voice, knowing that confidence is something that I believe is something that you built, is learned, and sometimes depending on what happens in life,
Yeah.
it can be challenged. So what kept you there?
Well,
What did you use?
yeah, sorry. I mean, I wasn't confident all the time. I was so lost in my youth. I didn't really know what was best for me back when I was 16 or 17. I was really lost. So, and I also did a psychotherapy. So I was in psychotherapy for 5 years, and that very much helped me to actually find myself and being confident with my life and my upbringing and all those things that were going on in my head. So that was one thing, psychotherapy, that helped me a lot. And also I was just curious about, getting to know whatever life is. I was just curious, and I read so many books. I remember I was spending days and nights at home in my teenage years, where everyone else was out and partying, and I was at home reading Nietzsche and Dostoevsky and whoever. I mean, I was just curious, and I was reading all those books. And back then I didn't know that was my way of building up knowledge for myself and about life. And now I'm benefiting from all this knowledge that I have, because I needed it back then. I needed answers. I needed guidance, and I found this guidance with all those great thinkers, and that helped me a lot. Reading books and indulging myself with deep knowledge of others.
Definitely. I remember, I know that for me, I think when I was probably around 16, I had moments where I felt that I thought I was the only one going through certain things. And then you open a book and you're like, oh, actually, this has
It's
been,
a thing.
it's a thing that is going through humanity, actually, century after century. This topic, talking about the future and also the youth, got me also to think about hope.
Mm.
And I know that we are more into deep, I will say, depending on people's background, sometimes people are more, let's say, in a secular way. And I was wondering, what is your relationship with hope, and how do you think hope can actually support those younger adults in like keep on building, I will say, their own path or life, or staying curious about life?
Mm. Also a very good question. I mean, it's a very philosophical discussion we're having. I mean, it's a very beautiful thing that we humans have. We can have hope, we can have optimism. But I also think, even though I mean, it's always good to have hope, it's always good to have optimism, but it shouldn't be naive. So I wouldn't say hope is what saves us. I would say it's rather something like trust in humanity, trust in the nature, or even trust in the world, because I mean, human history is full of wars and pandemics or whatever happened there, and people thought, oh my god, this is the end of the world. And no, human history always went on. So I would say it's more about trust that we will be able to survive this. And even though it's hard, even though it's challenging, and some of us won't have the luck to be healthy all the time during this time, but I think it's still this trust in myself, and trust in the world, and trust in humanity, that we will go through this, and we will be able to survive it.
That's a good point. The trust, yes. And there's another notion that I also wanted to discuss with you, is this notion of impermanence. And actually, if we understand it, that we know that things always change, then we know that it's not going to last forever. But weirdly, it just feels as, because we have there's a different variation of the virus, and then feels like actually this time is kind of being extended, or years just pass by and things kind of feel the same. So is this something that you cultivate, like, let's say, this notion of impermanence? How do you I know that for myself, I use season. For example, tell myself, oh, it's a different season, it's the summer. But like, I had lots of friends saying, I'm still stuck in 2020, for instance, even though there has been different season and we have different years, but it still kind of feels the same. So I wonder, how can we help people that just feels like this reality doesn't change and this continuum?
That's a very difficult question, I think, because it's very subjective what you are describing. And oh wow, I mean, yeah, how do you maybe it's better to start with answering, I mean, how do you see reality? How do you feel it? How do you experience it? If you don't experience it fully because you're on autopilot, maybe, then there is the high chance that you don't really realize that it's not only about the changing of the season, but everything changes all the time, and there are changes within you. But if you're not really aware of it, if you don't have the awareness, then it's very difficult to see all the changes and all the new things happening, good things happening, but also bad things happening. And there is a lot of, I mean, especially at the moment, it's a second pandemic winter, there's a lot of depression and bad mood, and people are just tired. That's one thing, but still you can also teach yourself to disconnect from this kind of reality and to connect with another kind of reality that is inside of you. I mean, you still have all these beautiful things happening inside of you, in your brain, in your body, and being able to connect to those things can also give you another sense of reality. Because there is this reality that we're all facing at the moment, but it's I mean, there's no point in distracting ourselves from it, but to accept it. It's just the reality outside, but I also have a reality inside of myself. So maybe it's better and healthier to shift our focus from outside to the inside and then see all the changes within ourselves. And for that, I mean, you can use tools or methods like journaling. I mean, journaling is beautiful because you just connect with yourself, with your own thoughts, with your own feelings, and you bring it down on paper. It's also a way to connect with your reality, or doing meditation or practicing mindfulness. It's also a way to just connect with another way of reality that you're experiencing, that is there for you.
Do you have tips for people just starting? Because I believe, let's say, someone that had never trained or never meditated before, and maybe already in their 20s, trying to get there, probably has expectation like, I didn't meditate after, let's say, I don't know, 1 week. So like, do you have tips when it comes to implementing like those practice as a habit in your life?
Well, I think meditation is the goal, right? Like we all want to be able to meditate in a proper way someday. I mean, I'm practicing for years now, but I still can't say that I'm meditating because it's still the practice of, it's a practice, I would say. I'm practicing how to meditate, but you can, I mean, if you want to implement it, you first have to make it a routine. You have to make it a habit, a small little habit in your day-to-day life, because the things that we do every day, even though they are little, they will help us to have the habits that we want to have in our lives, and that's going to change our lives also. So if you want to start with something, it's, for example, in the morning when you wake up, just breathe into your stomach, fully in and fully out. That's the first task. Every day in the morning, before you get out of bed, you just do your breathing exercises for 5 minutes, let's say. And then after maybe 30 days, after a month, you can do it also in the evening before you sleep. Like you're still in bed, you're about to go to sleep, and you can do your breathing exercises again. So step by step, little by little, train yourself with these things: breathing in the morning, breathing in the evening, and then you can expand also your breathing exercises. And from breathing exercises, you can go to mindfulness exercises like mindful walking or mindful eating, or staying away from your phone for a few days and then just practicing getting to know your day-to-day reality in a very different way, just connecting with whatever there is and whoever person there is, practicing mindfulness in very little doses, and having the endurance, I would say, to just keep going with it for a long time. That's why if you say to yourself, I want to meditate from tomorrow on, well, it's not going to work, because you will know after 2 days that it's too difficult, you're frustrated, and you're not going to do it anymore because your experience is too negative. You need to build, you need to give yourself positive experiences. So you will get positive experiences when you have those tiny little habits in your day-to-day life where you actually feel like, wow, it's helping a little bit, and I'm proud of myself that I did my working, that I did my breathing exercise today in the morning. And that's only a little investment, but it has a very long-term benefit for you.
I like that answer. And I have one other question, and if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat, or even raise your hand if you want to participate. Once, let's say it's someone that is actually practicing everything you mentioned. So like just starting to meditate, try to build or being more aware of his or her inner reality, and then decide to, let's say, bring this reality to the world, knowing that they might be colliding. I don't know, they could be. How would you, what are the tools, or what would you advise for someone who's, let's say, has already a plan, or maybe visualizing how they want to be in the world? What would be, let's say, the advice that you would give that person in bringing their own wishes reality to the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, it's the question of how to realize your potential, or whatever there is inside of you that you want to show up with in this world. So I'm not a big fan of plans. So if someone asks me, Zoya, please tell me, what should I do with my life? I need a plan. I would say, okay, you don't need a plan, because a plan is too strict. It's like a, I mean, it's too, how do you say, it's not flexible, I would say. So what you need, or what this person needs, is something like a vision. Who do you want to be in this world? Who do you want to be with? And what do you want to do every day? Who do you want to work with? What kind of contribution do you want to make in this world? So these are the questions that people should ask themselves, and then envision it. Okay, who could I be in my best version? And this is also an exercise. You can't do it with one session and say, okay, I'm done. I know who I want to be, and that's it. No, it's something that is going on in your life for years also, maybe. And what I like is something like, I mean, I'm advising people also to go out there and be an explorer, to experiment. It's like this, you know, it's this agile kind of working. Go and test your ideas out there, and then get feedback on it, and then change it maybe, and then do another experiment. It's all about experimenting all day, every day in our lives. So we should do it also. We should apply it on our own lives, going out and doing our experiments, learning from it, and then changing it maybe. Or even if it's, I mean, if it's good, we can stick with it, and then we can go one step further. It's all about experimenting, and then also going out there and finding people that align with whatever we are believing in, and making those meaningful connections with them, and to surround ourselves with people who have the same mindset, who have maybe also the same vision of themselves, to be able to support each other also. And also to question our own narrative. We all have a narrative that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and also that we go and tell everyone else in this world, because we believe in this narrative also. It's something that we do unconsciously sometimes, but we are the authors of our lives. So we can change this narrative. We can just be another person, whoever we want to be, but we need to also change this story that we have about ourselves, and then go out there and try and tell everyone this new story, and to actually become this story also, become the main character in this narrative. So experimenting, I would say the most useful thing to do is going out there and doing all these experiments that are needed to change our behaviors, to change our lives, to change ourselves into something that we really want to be.
I really like this answer, and I had one last question. What is your own definition of success?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that question, because I also asked this question. I think it's a very important question, because a lot of people, I mean, so many of us are just blindly following whatever there is on, like, those criteria that say that we are successful because we have a good job, because we earn a lot of money, because we have a nice house, or whatever, we have a family. But it's not going to be helpful for us if we individually want to be happy, if we want to be actually, yeah, having the feeling that we are successful in our lives, because this is very satisfying, actually, to having this, you know, knowledge about yourself. I'm successful in my terms. My measure of success is very different, but I know that it works for me. So what's my measure of success? I would say I want to do whatever I want to do every day what I really enjoy. I want to surround myself with people that I enjoy and like, and that I have meaningful relationships with. I want to explore a lot of things, a lot of people. I'm such a curious person, and the more I learn, the more I get to know about people, about myself also. That's something that makes me more successful in my point of view. I know that a lot of people wouldn't say that this is successful, but for me, learning a lot of things and having the knowledge and being able to give this knowledge to other people, that's my measure of success, being successful, or just being happy with the little things that I have, being grateful every day for my life and for all the things and people that I have in my life. I think that makes me a successful person. So I think for me, in my terms, it's really, yeah, I'm very humble in these things. Even, I mean, when I manage to have a good meditation session with myself, I feel very successful, because that's something that I'm striving for. That's something that I like to be better at. So for me, my measure of success, I mean, there are a lot of things that maybe other people wouldn't even consider, but I like the things that I want to be successful in. So that's why I'm doing them.
Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful energy.